When Iniece Bailey died in 1978, Marin lost a remarkable woman who cared about and helped people in need. All kinds of people in all kinds of need. Infants, children, racial minorities, troubled teenagers, prisoners, the poor, anyone she found to be unjustly treated. In recognition of her efforts, the Marin Women's Hall of Fame has named Iniece Bailey as its 1989 Posthumous Honoree. Representing her here today are her daughter Susie Bailey and her sister Eva Turner. I'm Sandra Foster, and I'm going to be talking with them about Iniece Bailey's life, her good works, and about what shaped her into the compassionate, giving person that she was. Hello, Susie.
Hello, Sandra.
Hello, Eva.
Hello, Sandra.
I know you're proud of Iniece's Hall of Fame award.
Yes.
Susie, I know that one way your mother helped people was by founding and directing Operation Give a Damn. You are now executive director of that organization. Can you tell us why your mother founded it and about what it does?
Well, first, let me say that she was one of 3 founders of Operation Give a Damn. There was a youth in the Marin City community who was a borderline adolescent, isolated, in need of supervision, and his special ed teacher at the time told him that if he was good over the Christmas holidays, she would get him a big brother. So she contacted the then minister of St. Andrew Presbyterian Church, and my mother was a long-standing member of St. Andrew Presbyterian Church, and they located a college student, and they started doing activities. They went on different outings. People started to raise money for this team. Pretty soon, any number of youth in the community wanted big brothers and big sisters, and that's how the program started.
What are some of the types of problems that the children or teenagers have who are helped by OGAD?
OGAD deals with youth from the ages of 7 through 18. So we have teams or youngsters who are referred to us for different reasons. There might be problems in the home. There might be problems in school. A youth might be an only child and just need the companionship, or there might be a single parent family and a youth might need to have a male role model. So there might be, sometimes we have teams for problems that are referred to us by the probation department or the school. Sometimes we just have teams for recreational purposes.
Can you remember any particular expression of appreciation that your mother received from somebody helped by this group?
A particular expression. I would think that as they say, imitation is one of the greater forms of flattery. Yeah. Being accosted on the streets regularly by youngsters wanting to have big brothers and big sisters. Miss Bailey, we're on the waiting list, or can you get me a big brother? Can you, they wanted her to speed up the process.
She became very well known as a symbol for
that. Because she was involved very much with the program.
And what do you find most rewarding about this work?
Oh, there are so many things. The commute is not one of them, I'll tell you that right from There's so many rewards. One thing is I grew up in the Marin City community, so there's a feeling of returning home. That's one thing. And the continuity of generations. For example, the young people who are in the program now are grandchildren or children of my peers. So that's that continuity. It's very, very, very much like a family system, and you can't go wrong. I mean, there are frustrations and there are struggles, but the fun that youngsters have, or the sense of self-respect that they have, and the interest in the educational information they have from being involved with the big brother or big sister, that's something that will carry them the rest of their lives. Big brothers and big sisters say, once a big brother, big sister, always a big brother, big sister.
And what do you find most challenging about the work?
I think that the most challenging aspect of the work is dealing with the external agencies and service providers that we try to enlist to support our clientele. So frustrating sometimes.
Your mother also worked with prisoners quite a bit. She was a member of the San Quentin Task Force. Can you tell us what that group does or did and why your mother thought it was important?
I'd like to, maybe Aunt Eva can shed more information about the San Quentin Task Force. I remember coming home from college one time and looking for my mother, and she was out picketing around San Quentin for the San Quentin Task Force. And there was something going on. I was just coming home from college in Southern California. I didn't know what was going on.
Might be trouble. Eva, do you remember anything about the San Quentin Task Force or anything to add about her work with prisoners?
Yes, we had an attorney in all of our goings around who did work for minimum fees and was sort of a role model for us to get on top of what was going on. So we had a task force, and it wasn't Marin City, it was the whole county who made up members of the task force. We had a cousin once in prison, and he had told us what it was like. So whatever a task force can do to get its rights, the person's rights and so forth, is what we did.
I know that there's an Iniece Bailey Infant Center in Sausalito. Can you tell me how that came about and about what it does, Susie?
The Iniece Bailey Infant Center also was built or erected posthumously.
Oh, yes.
Yes, So at the time of my mother's death, though, she was trying diligently to get low-income child care for low-income families, quality child care for low-income families. So Eva can tell you more about that because she was on the advisory board when the center happened. My understanding was that after her death, a coalition of child care providers got together and said that they were going to continue or follow up on the work that had already been done, and that's how the center got founded.
Eva, do you remember anything to add about the child care center?
Yes, 1 year after Iniece died, my brother died. And I'd just come from Louisiana, and Iniece was a board member for Project Care for Children. The committee decided they wanted to do something with children and for children that Iniece would enjoy. The child care center at Redwood was about to close. We knew that, and we sought the funds that they were getting, which were granted. The space we got was in the Sausalito School District. We took it as close to the community as we could. We worked around the clock, and finally, within a few months, we had everything going.
Now, Iniece Bailey was also a co-founder of the Marin Human Rights Commission. Do you know how that operates and some of the things that they achieved?
I don't know too much about what they achieved in the early days because, again, I was away in school. I know more about the Human Rights Commission now. I have heard rumors about the background of the Human Rights Commission. Obviously, there remains a need for such an organization in this community as well as other communities or throughout the country.
So it's still very much a going
Very much, oh, very much. It's this past week, especially the Human Rights Commission, the past 2 weeks, has really been in the papers, on all the Marin County papers. Yes, and they continue diligently on with what their task is.
It's so wonderful that so many of these things that she's left as a legacy to people here in Marin that are being continued and enthusiastically going forward. And I think that is a real testament to her and good fortune for the county. Eva, do you remember anything else about the Human Rights Commission?
Yes, we, meaning Iniece and some of our cohorts, always decided if there was an organization that had an issue, that some of our group would be a part of that.
In addition to all these good works we've talked about with various organizations, I understand that Iniece also was always ready to help people on an individual, person-to-person, one-to-one basis when they needed it. And I hear that at times her phone at your house would ring all night long with people just seeking her help because they were in a personal crisis. Did this ever bother you to have such a phone ringing going on all night?
It bothered me when I was a teenager because I needed to get to the phone myself.
Oh, okay.
But after that, no, not particularly. That was her work, that's what made her happy. The only part that might have bothered me somewhat about it was the fact that she didn't get any rest. You come home, she worked in social services. She had a difficult job. You come home, you need some time to unwind and relax and take care of yourself.
And what precisely did she do for the social services?
She started off in, at the Department of Public Social Services as an eligibility worker. And I think after that she went to, she became a supervisor. Later, though, she became a supervisor of a paraprofessional unit. This unit I don't know exactly what the title of the position was. They were like social work assistants. It was a brand new unit in the Department of Social Services. So she supervised this unit.
So they would talk to people who were in need and screen them and recommend some sort of aid from the county?
These were community people who were operating, I'll say, in the position of paraprofessional social workers. They didn't have degrees in social work, but they did have the sensitivity and they had the, let's put it, common gumption and resources since they were people in the community, and all of the people had been welfare recipients themselves, were currently welfare recipients. So there was a certain level of relating they could do. Later on, though, she became like a school liaison. She was responsible for overseeing Head Start and the children's centers in the community, within the community. She was a liaison between those centers and the county of Marin.
And another way I understand that she helped people on an individual basis was that she at one point became something of a den mother to a unit of welfare mothers.
That's the one I'm talking about too.
Okay, okay.
She,
and she demanded that they go to school. So I was in a position, she sent them down to the College of Marin, and they enrolled in school, and they had time off to take their classes.
Time off from whatever work they were doing?
Yes.
to work with the county of Marin.
And I understand that they almost became a type of cohesive family unit.
They were. I used to come home from school and they'd have picnics and they'd any celebration, a child's birthday, an anniversary, they'd get together once a month or so and just have a potluck at somebody's house. It was, you couldn't tell almost where the relationship between the supervisor began and employee ended. It was very much a family situation. It was a real team. They had their ups and downs, and they weathered the storm. They went through everything together.
Do you have any idea where any of those welfare mothers are today?
Yes.
Yes, Eva? Yes?
There's one working at Kaiser, two.
Yes, Kaiser Hospital.
Kaiser Hospital, yes. Some of them are aides in children's centers.
Can you think of other ways in which she may have served as a mentor or a role model for other women?
A good many of the executive directors, the female executive directors in the Marin City community were consulted with or worked with, did organizing, community organization rather, with my mother. And a lot of the organizations were begun during that time, during the last decade or so. Some of them were begun during that last decade. So there was a lot of community spirit and community organization and consultation, politics, and how to strategize politically, resources, resource information giving that went on. And I would say that, yes, she definitely was a mentor to me in the position I'm in. And I would say that also for Sharon Turner, definitely my aunt's daughter-in-law, who's the director of the Multi-Service Center, the Community Health Organization, Community Mental Health Organization in Marin City, so many others.
Did she ever, you were about to say something?
I was about to say, she can't hear me, but she was the first black PTA president of the Tam High School.
Oh.
But she dared anyone to say that, so she can't hear me now.
Also, you were talking about educational advocacy. There's a program in Marin City now called Step 2, Educational and Vocational Project. But the original step wasn't called Step 1, it was called Step. Nobody knew, but there would be a Step 2. My mother was, what was her position? She was a
The director of the Study Center. We had interns from San Francisco State who were interning in the Sausalito School District. And Iniece was the headquarters for them to coordinate the program.
Was she ever a classroom teacher?
Yes.
Yes,
She was also a classroom teacher. That was
Yes.
in high school.
yes.
And
She taught high school.
what subject did she teach in high school?
She taught English.
Iniece cared for 4 children and also had foster children in her home for at least about 5 years. Susie, what was it like growing up with foster children, and how old were you when this first started?
Well, I wasn't in the home then. I was an adult myself.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I was the placement worker for the first two of the foster children. I was working at an agency that placed teenagers in foster homes. I saw this one particular youngster, and I felt that he should be with my mother. She was just what he needed. He's like a nephew, a son or a brother to us right now. He's still very much part of the family.
How old was he then?
He was 16.
And did you more or less talk your mother into this?
Yeah, I asked her about becoming a foster parent. I mean, I had one younger brother at home who was that same age, and she had this big old house in Tam Valley, and this youngster needed a home, and it was a boy, about, as I said, the same age, and a bright youngster. And she thought about it, and she said yes.
So she had grown up on a
Yes.
farm in Louisiana. Her father was a carpenter, her mother a homemaker, and she had 4 brothers and 4 sisters. And I believe that Iniece was the youngest girl, is that right?
Yes, she was.
And then in addition to that, there were also foster children, or the forerunners of what was called foster children in that home. Eva, what do you think it was in your sister's early life that caused her to develop into such a compassionate and giving person?
Training,
Training.
yes.
Training from whom?
My mother.
Who do you think had the most influence on your sister? Would it be your mother?
Mm-hmm.
Was there also a pastor who had quite an influence on her life?
Buddy Hicks. My grandfather's nephew, yes. He had founded a college in southern Louisiana, and he was very influential with the whole family.
Was Iniece a leader as a child?
Yes, you had to be a leader with my mother. You must be the leading speller. My mother taught school until I was born. Then she didn't have a babysitter. If she came on Fridays for spelling class, one of her children had to be number 1. Number 1 to lead a song in church or whatever. So it's just part of her training.
What were Iniece's favorite childhood activities? What did she like to do for fun?
One of the things, I don't know if Madiba would tell you, but one of them was mimicking. I think I put on one of the applications or for the bio information that she could have been a stand-up comedian because she had a real art for mimicry. She could hear people and sound so much like them right after hearing them. And at some point she used to get paid to, other people would pay her to imitate the ministers in the church.
The school teachers and all sorts
Yes.
of possibilities. And socially, did she have a lot of friends as a child?
Beside the 8 of us, yes. Because within a 50-mile range, almost everyone was our cousin. If they weren't, we didn't know any better. So there was always a lot of people around.
And did Iniece have any particular dreams or ambitions for the future as she grew up?
She did not talk about them. I think she was going to act them out. You know, just be the model and someone's going to come to me or get involved with what I'm talking about.
Where did your sister go to college?
She went to Texas College in Tyler, Texas. Yes.
And was there a particular friend or mentor who encouraged her to go to college?
My mother.
Your mother, again, always in there.
You had to go to school. We could not go to school where we lived because of segregation. So in order to go to high school, she went to a one-room school through 8th grade, which we all did. And you had to live in a dormitory or room with someone to go to high school, although there was a high school real close to us.
How far away was this high school that you actually went to?
35 miles. But there was one within 2 miles of our house. You saw the school bus passing every morning, but you could not go. So.
Well, that has changed.
Oh, yes.
So we can be thankful for that. What did she study in college? Education?
Education and French, I believe.
And French.
Okay. On the side.
And do you remember any stories that she told about her college years?
The most humorous stories I hear her tell about her college years are helping her older brother to get his studies and pass and get out of college. Also, she made very, very close friends with some of her roommates who she kept in touch with over the years. So some of the humorous stories were about what happened in dorm life.
Okay. And was her brother then at the same college?
Yes. We went away to school in twos.
In twos?
My elder sister was first, and then
She was
the
a
next
teacher,
two,
too.
and the next two, and the next two. That's how we went away to school. That's why.
How many of you went to the same college?
None.
No.
Two, Uncle Buddy, and one went to
Yeah, Iniece and Tom.
went to the same college.
Yeah.
That's the one that she helped
Okay.
get to school.
That's great. Now, Iniece married in 1943 and had 4 children and was divorced 25 years later. Eva, why do you think it was that she divorced after all those years?
Her husband was not on the same train, completely different. Liked to get dressed and clean house and all those things, and that wasn't where Iniece, that wasn't what impressed her. She believed in gut level during, don't talk about it. And she wanted people to make changes, and her head was that way, and she wasn't about to change.
She was a very strong person.
Very.
And your father was more of a homebody then?
No.
No?
Not into politics and caring and so forth.
When she said cleaning
Public.
house clean, she meant he was very, very clean, and my mother felt that the work that she did was more important than coming home and being sure that there wasn't any dust on her piano.
I would be interested in knowing how and when Iniece moved to Marin. Can you tell us that, Eva?
When Susie was 1 month old, in 1945, I was with Iniece because she was quite ill when she was pregnant, and I left Seattle, Washington, to go to Hawthorne, Nevada, to be of some help to her. When the war ended, they moved here.
Now, Iniece had 4 children, as we have said, 2 boys and 2 girls. And Susie, you are the oldest child.
Yes.
What do you think Iniece tried to instill in you children?
I think the main message I got from my mother was to be able to take care of ourselves. It's very important that we have what we needed to be able to take care of ourselves. So she did everything, as well as our extended family. As you see, it's a tradition. Did everything that they could to instill in us or support us in doing that. We were given the basic things of what we needed to feel good about ourselves. We were certainly encouraged and supported in doing well in school. All of us went away to school. Everybody in our family has been away, not necessarily been away, has gone on to higher education.
And how were you children affected by her very busy, very public life?
It's just like kind of what my auntie was finished saying, the busiest people are the people who have the most time. I never felt that my mother didn't have time for me. She was always there. And plus, one of the things is we participated in the things that she did to the extent that we could. When there was any picketing to be done, we were there. We went to meetings where we could. She was on a lecture circuit one time. My brothers went with her and stayed in the motel overnight, you know.
What do you think of all the honors and all the accomplishments that Iniece had? What do you think she was most proud of, Eva?
The ability to do what she was doing. I said once after I was working with something, and I know I had to present a plaque in honor of Iniece, and I started to cry, which I had not done, and I thought Iniece would say, "Eva, why are you crying? I didn't even finish. Go ahead. The work has to go on."
What was the biggest obstacle you think that Iniece overcame in her life?
In the United States of America, being a woman and being a black woman is a double whammy. We all know that, and so, I mean, you could look at it as an obstacle. You don't have to, but in many circles, that would be considered an obstacle. So that was an overcoming.
And you've mentioned that she was very active in the church. I believe it was the Presbyterian Church. Did she have any spiritual or philosophical principle that she lived her life by?
Goodness.
Any ideas on that, Eva?
I have to go back to the work is out there, do it. Okay.
She was a doer.
I think that philosophically, this is something, a saying of my mother's, anytime we come in with something that was relatively trivial or petty, where's the milk? Or, like this, mother say, the world is crumbling, you're out here worried about milk. That was one of her favorite expressions. Yeah. The world is crumbling, and you're worried about milk.
So she was on the big, important things, and let's get those done. What was her attitude toward death? Did she ever discuss that with you, Eva?
Yes. We adopted Dr. King's philosophy. I'd rather live 40 years and do something than to live 80 years and do nothing.
She would want us to continue to support and love each other. That was very, very strong. That was a very, very important principle that she had, that we look out, what did she say? We look out for each other. Yeah.